Welcome to Progress in San Diego, Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. I'm your host, Walter Davis, and with me once again, I have the honor to have Mr. Rick Ireton. Thanks for coming back again, Rick.
Thanks, Walter. Good to be here.
And some of you may have seen us before talking about Rick's concepts and that love is the answer to many of the problems that we have in the world today. And ultimately, it's what we need to start embracing and conducting ourselves with more loving actions. Is that more correct?
Absolutely,
Rick?
yeah.
So go ahead, sir. Tell us something about yourself briefly for those of the audience that haven't seen you before.
Well, my name is Rick Ireton, and I work for a graphics company in Cardiff, California. And I have two wonderful children, and I've been studying love for about 12 years, and I kind of stumbled into some amazing information about love. I feel kind of like Indiana Jones. I think that this information is on the capacity, on the range of Indiana Jones, Indy's findings. This is sacred knowledge, sacred wisdom that we have easily posted here in these graphics.
Well, go into that. Tell me something about these graphics. I know you wanted to go into greater detail on the chakra keys here.
Right. Well, this tells us a lot, and the thing is that our life, and we are complex people, right? And there's a lot of complex issues at hand.
Right.
And what this does is it begins to gives us a framework or a blueprint that we can use to put together complex ideas into a framework that is nature's framework of design. And if you were to look at a rainbow, for instance, a rainbow naturally breaks into these colors right here. And so what this graphic shows us is basically it's a combination of Hindu wisdom. This is 4,000-year-old wisdom. This is old stuff. And the menorah, which is also 4,000 years old, very old. But what's unique about this, and really I stumbled onto this idea of turning the menorah 90 degrees. And when you turn the menorah, the 7-candle menorah 90 degrees, you see a map emerges that explains how our Creator made our body. And it's very telling. And would you like me to continue a little bit?
So you have found a connection between two very ancient sciences, systems of spirituality,
Right.
which identify with some solutions to today's problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And, you know, going back to the rainbow and to the way nature divides light up. And this is a very interesting thing, and just in watching a rainbow. You take clear light, and it naturally divides into 7 colors, and each color has a resonant energy to it.
Right.
So it's more than just a color, there's an energy field to it. And so our chakras are naturally these colors, and we have cameras that'll take pictures of our body, and you can see this. And what we don't realize is there's a lot going on with our body that we don't see. You know, kind of like your cell phone. You know, you don't see any wires connecting you to the next guy. There's a radio frequencies, and there's energy. And we are very energetic beings. And we have all these different energy systems, and each energy system has a resonant energy. Each one's for a purpose. And there's a framework to the way our Creator built us. And when we look at this framework, we can basically see, one, how we're made, and then also our purpose in life. Because basically, we're made to do something. And once you understand how we're made, then you can say, okay, I see you have all these nice features. Now let's put those features to work. And my claim is that we're not really putting those claims to work in a proper way, amongst a lot of other things. But let me just briefly go in. I'm not going to go into all the chakras because it's kind of complicated, but I will talk about a couple of them. But for instance, the root chakra, that's this old Hindu thought, talks about, say that you were an inventor and you're going to design a machine. And our body's kind of a machine. And you want to survive on this planet, in this wild planet. The first thing is it's got to survive. And so our base chakra, our base design is for survival. And so our primary drive as human beings is to survive. And that's we're looking for water, we're looking for food, we're looking for shelter, we have to sleep, we're looking for air. So these primary things are the most important aspect of the design, and it's our root design. And so we can use this framework to make all kinds of decisions in life, as far as whether we have a water plant, as far as our government. I mean, we can use this thinking as far as making our survival as humanity. The most fundamental thing for our decision needs to be for all of our survival. So this has a lot of implication for how we build things. Moving on to the menorah here for just a sec. What the menorah shows us is that you see that we have these branches to the menorah, and it shows how the lower branch connects us to the heart chakra, to the crown branch. And that's the map that I refer to here, is that basically the menorah maps the interconnections of our lower chakras, lower body, with our heart chakra and then to our upper body. But in essence, it shows that we're a human being, a spiritual being in a body, and we have a system for our body, and all this body is for our upper chakras, so that you and I can have a conversation, so we can sing, so we can be here and survive on Earth.
Okay. Are you going to talk a little bit more, though, specific? Can you give me a brief description of each one of the chakras? Just briefly, what is it?
Okay, well, our first chakra is the root chakra. That's for survival. The second chakra, the sacral chakra, is about our sex chakra. And this is really important to our Creator, that we reproduce and that we populate the world. And this has more information over here about that. But the sacral chakra, while I'm talking about this, you can see how this goes up to our brow chakra, which is considered our mind. And this is our thinking. So there's a connection here between our sex chakra and our mind. We might be mindful of this powerful force. This solar plexus is right here. And this is really also, we have a lot of evidence about this, because all you have to do is to push your solar plexus to empower your throat. And the thinking here, in general terms, is that early man, you've gathered your resources together, you may have found a woman or a man, and the next drive we have is to build walls and to protect the resources you have. So this is our power. We want protection, and within all of this, of course, there needs to be a balance. But that's the thinking that, for designing this person to survive on Earth. We want them to get the stuff. We want them to find a mate, reproduce, and then we want them to be able to survive by being able to protect the resources he's gathered. And then the heart chakra, shown here, is the master chakra, which all your chakras hang off of. That's what this menorah shows us. And we can get more into the heart chakra, but the heart chakra is the center. This is where, because it's the largest, it's our center of compassion, of love. And this is where, hopefully, as humanity, we're lifting into our heart chakra, where we begin to get past these ideas of survival and having to lie and to cheat to try to get ahead for some reason, other than just being honest and trustworthy and working together as brothers to all survive. So that's what brings us into our heart chakra. Our throat chakra is so we might speak. It's where we communicate. And our throat chakra also goes into our hands, and this is why we're able to play the guitar and play music. And really, you could say that all of this is for this, and for our connecting to the divine. Really, we're here to be an expression of our upper chakras. And this throat is what's so powerful, because we get to talk. Of course, our brow chakra is important because it's our mind, and that's what processes everything, and that's where all of our creative experience begins, with thought. And this is what's important about our attitude towards one another, how we view one another. If we view one another as brothers or students, and we begin to honor one another, then we live together, we work together, and can love one another.
Okay.
And then our crown chakras are connecting to point to God or to the divine. And that's what's so amazing, that God made us with a communication system able to commune with the divine. And that's why we're such incredible human beings. So in essence, that's what the chakra key shows us. And that's what I believe, understanding that and getting this information is the information that takes us into 2012. And it's a kind of information that will change the world. You know.
Before we talk about 2012, though,
Sure.
can you go back to the sacral chakra and how that relates to this image over here? This is a pretty fantastic image.
Yeah, it is a really fantastic image. And just to tell you a little bit about this image, I found this while surfing on the internet. I found this crop circle. And this was produced in England somewhere. And I noticed the 7 spheres. And I go, oh, this looks like a form of chakra. And looking at it further, I noticed, I go, look at how big this heart chakra is. And the more you look at this, the more telling this image is to us. And what I believe at this point, I believe that this image gives us a picture of what's going on with our bioenergy system. I mean, we don't see our energy system working, like you can't see the work of a cell phone happening. But what's happening is that we have this massive energetic body. And this gives us a picture of that body. And it shows, this symbol here is like a yin-yang symbol with this great heart chakra that's 3 times the size of any one of these other chakras. And so it indicates, this symbol indicates that this energy is spinning in this direction, and our lower chakras spinning counterclockwise. But it tells us more. It shows that the sex chakra is the center of our lower chakra. And it also shows that our brow chakra is the center of our upper chakra. And that's interesting because when you compare that back to the chakra key, it shows how these are connected, how our sex chakra is connected to the brow chakra. And so, here we are, we're designing a body again, we're the divine. And we're saying, listen, these minds, our brain, they take a lot of power, a lot of thinking power. And so you wire it up so that this core sexual low energy is hardwired into our brow so that we'd have plenty of juice to process and to be able to think and to live in a creative way. So there's more to this, but that's...
Well, it's very amazing. I mean, so what you're saying is that these 2 figures correlate together.
Yeah.
And that we have a center for the upper chakra, which is the brow, which is our ability to think, our mentality. The lower chakra, sacral chakra center being the sacral chakra, which is the sex energy.
Right.
And then the heart chakra is sort of the central force of it all.
Right. And imagine this. A couple guys. You've got a guy that likes the ice, another guy that likes the fire. You know, we live in a world with opposites. And so we have an opposite here. We have our body that wants certain things. The body wants food and water, sex, and you know, it wants all these things that taste great, feels good, and wants power, wants to rule the world. And you have this guy up here that's saying, wait a minute, I want to be an expression. I want to do art. I want to sing and dance, and I want to talk to God. And these 2 guys would always be in a big old fat fight were it not for this powerful center in the middle that says, no, you're not. You guys are going to get along. And when we have awareness of this big energy system here, we feed that more just with our attention and understanding. We can understand how the reason we survive as a human being is because we have this large heart chakra that overpowers the wants of the lower chakras. And it could even overpower the wants of the upper chakras. But it should be said that these chakra points, these chakra energy centers, are so powerful. Any one of them, especially our lower chakras, can take over. And I would go to the point of this that's that's really strong, Walter, is the issue with the connection point between our brow and our sex chakra. And this is one of the fundamental problems with pornography and allowing yourself to watch things, because we're visual people. And this powers this center. And this center is, we're holy people, and you can become addicted. You can become drawn into this through this visual center being energized. And so I think this is something that we have to come to grips with as brothers, as a community, and say, listen, you know, we're all wired up, so we're weak here. You know, and you could put a burqa on somebody and not let men look at women or something, but you're still going to have problems with it. And in a free society where this is so prevalent now, this is a problem. It's a distraction, I think, for us. So, you know, while one thing is good, while the sexual energy is good for powering the mind, it can also be a real stumbling block for what's best for us. And so,
do you think that some people are not balanced in this area? In other words, their solar plexus perhaps has more control, and that's why we have more greed from some people than more caring actions.
Yeah, yeah, obviously, you know, and that's the problem in our world, is that, you know, you justify out of fear or out of just wanting power or laziness. There's all kinds of reason to justify wanting to rule the world, you know, and this is this information is good for all of us, because if just one guy has this information, he can kind of hoard this information and use it for his own benefit. But the idea is that if we all understand that everybody has a certain want to rule the world, or a certain want for power, and ultimately a certain amount of power is good. You know, we all need to have a measure of power. We all need to know that we can get a meal, and that we have a balance with our sexual energy, and that we have enough power to be an expression. But what it brings us to is even a greater question of you know, okay, who are we, and what's life about? And what I've come through all this is that we're human beings, spiritual beings in bodies, and we're all like students and teachers. And we're here on earth to learn. We're here for a reason. I mean, this isn't a random experience we're having. You know, this isn't random at all. This is for a purpose, and our purpose is that ultimately that we would understand our body, that we would be able to, as individual spirits. I come into this world with some past and with some things to learn about life. We all do. And we all, as students, we're on different levels. We have different lessons we're learning. And that's what it's about. It's about helping each other learn through their lessons. A lesson for me that's really tough might be real easy for you. And so we just have to have a measure of compassion, saying, okay, what's it about? And build our world as a giant university, or a giant school. And it's not made for some guy to be king of Egypt. You know, the idea of giving people all this energy, all this power, so they can make slaves and they can make a bunch of money and stuff. It's not why we're here.
Okay, now we're down to we're within our last 7 minutes now.
Sorry.
So, talk about 2012, your concept about 2012.
Well, you know, some people are talking, Walter, like something's going to magically happen in 2012. And personally, I don't know. I don't see it. I think that hopefully what I would like to see is people around the world ultimately would kind of grasp this idea of who we are. I mean, this concept of the chakra key and this chakra synergy and love is a universal idea. And ultimately, you know, there's no free lunch to this stuff. And ultimately, we all grow as the more we know. And the idea of spiritual growth and growing as brothers happens in an organic way. So I think 2012 is the beginning point of conscious awareness that, hey, we're spiritual beings. Who can even imagine where you come from, or where I come from, or where we're going, and the impact that we could have in this world? All of us. And so it's it's a wonderful thing, I think, to think of one another as spiritual brothers, and there's a mystery to all of us. And the idea is that we help one another elevate into our higher thinking, we help one another move out of these lower chakras. So we don't have people groveling for donuts or for food and for water. And we really care about our water supply and our food, and we have some sobriety about the matter of sex and what we allow to be shown in our world. And that we create a framework within our society so that there's a structure to how much power somebody can have. Because if we're here as students and we're here to create, there's a measure of power we all need, but nobody should be having billions and zillions of dollars, and you have all these people that have nothing. I mean, the structure's off if that's the case. So.
Okay, so what do you believe is going to be the catalyst that's going to cause us to go into this higher understanding of enlightenment?
I think it's just awareness. It's awareness of who we are, and it's a new way of looking at things. And I think it's from my view, it would be getting this information out to people and to look at one another as spiritual brothers. And we look at our community as a brotherhood, as a community, and start coming together in a holistic way where we relook at our issues and we look at what we're doing and where we're going. And we take over our world in a loving way that's for all of our benefit. And you wouldn't call this socialism or any kind of ism, it's other than maybe a loveism, you know.
So what I hear you saying is that there's a great deal of inequality financially between people. Obviously, with the average person living on $2 per day in this world, and 32,000 children dying in this world every single day, there is definitely inequality. We see the Occupy movement right now with people that are really frustrated with the way the financial structure is in this country, in this world, etc.
Yeah.
You appear to be discussing more loving actions. You appear to be talking about us living and working with each other in a much more humane fashion, but having a self-awareness of what the power or the powers are that we have inside, and illustrated by the heart chakra, the sacral chakra, the brow chakra. So your diagrams simply lend a label to these powerful elements that we have inside of ourselves that we can't see, that are just like the RF energy that comes off of our cell phones.
Right.
You're saying that we have these powerful elements within our bodies that we're simply not aware of, and your particular illustrations will allow us to have a conversation about what those things are and how those things impact us in our world. Am I correct with those simulations?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we look past skin tone, you look past body size. I mean, we're all these spirit beings in bodies. And you can't judge a book by the cover. You know, and it's such a big deal to get past the body idea. But we all are made with a framework. We're all here for a reason. And I love the analogy about a flower, you know, and when you see a flower, some flowers, they grow and they bloom right away into their beauty. You know, and some people are like that. Mozart, some people, they're born at a young age, they develop some amazing skill, and they wow us. Other flowers grow longer, it takes longer, and it's hard to know when it's right. But it's this divine world that we're in, but they're here for some reason, and through education, and through love, and through helping along, there's a flowering, and who's to say what will come from that? And so it's so hard for us, or wrong for us, to judge somebody that's maybe down, or maybe in our time right now, so many people do not have the opportunity for an education to further their skills. And you know, it's something that we need to always be encouraging our brothers, no matter what kind of condition they're in, to continue to grow, to continue to feed and water these little plants so that there'll be a time for them to bud and blossom.
Well, we're down to our last 2 minutes, and so, Rick, I'm going to encourage you to continue developing your television show. Have you decided on a name for your show yet?
Well, it's called The Chakra Key, The Science of Love.
Okay.
And it seems to make most sense. And
Okay.
all this, again, this is kind of complex stuff. So
You're gonna have plenty of time to
Okay.
talk about that on your show, and
Okay.
of course you'll be coming back here once again to discuss things, and we'll go into greater detail. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and again, this information is fantastic, and we're going to be doing other internet television broadcasts here to discuss these issues and to go into greater depth. I encourage you to become part of the San Diego County Community Coalition and to become a volunteer to come out and be part of our shows, learn the art of television production. Look for Elise Smith Cooper's show to come on every Sunday at 6 p.m. And of course, my show is here every Sunday at 5 p.m. Marilyn McLeod show, Coach Marilyn, Consider the Possibilities, will be coming on every Wednesday at 6 p.m. And then you have Laura Thompson's show, a community artist connection, that comes on every Thursday at 9:30. We're also on Time Warner, and there you'll be able to see Joe Stevens' show very soon, in which we're going to be interviewing local musicians here in the San Diego area. We expect to have at least 2 additional shows here on the air very soon. And again, I hope you join us in our quest for success here and our focus on becoming a much more loving and caring people. Also to focus on positive stories here in our communities. Be sure to join us for our webcasts. All of our shows come on live webcasts, and you can join those. Those are two-way. You can make comments, and you can interact with the people that we're interviewing here on Progress in San Diego and the other television shows. Again, my name is Walter Davis, and I appreciate you for joining us on this evening. Please come back again.
all right, thanks, Walter. That's good.